Hi friends, a very warm welcome to all of you on our YouTube channel Finbuzz Learning. Today we are going to discuss about the privatization of banks and how it will take place. Also we will know its positive and negative aspects. You must have seen and heard a lot of news about privatization in the last few years. The news that was discussed the most was the privatization of government nationalized banks. In this sequence, in 2019, 10 PSUs were merged into 4 PSUs in the annual budget session of the financial year 2021-22. It was said that the government has shortlisted 4 banks, out of which 2 will be privatized soon. This includes the name of Bank of Baroda, Bank of India. These includes the name of Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, Indian Overseas Bank and the Central Bank of India. However, those 2 names have not been finalized yet. So the first question arises is, why is the government privatizing public sector banks? Actually, there was a good economic development in the year 2000s, due to which the bank's conditions improved more than expected. After this, public sector banks started distributing loans. Then the global economic recession came in 2008. Then what happened was that the loan disbursed by nationalized government banks gradually turned into non-performing assets, while the condition of private banks was much better than these. According to a report by the year 2019-20, the NPA of public banks reached up to rupees 5.50 lakh crore, while the NPA of private banks stood at 2.08 lakh crore, that is less than half. Apart from this, in the same year, it was also said by the Government of India in the Parliament that at present, out of 12 nationalized banks, in July 2022, the report of National Council for Applied Economic Research, authored by Poonam Gupta and Niti Aayog's former CEO Arvind Pangharia, suggested that the Union government should first privatize Indian Bank and Bank of Baroda and set an example for future privatization, because their NPS are in better condition than other least performing banks. This report also suggested that except SBI, all PSBs should be privatized and power given to RBI for regulations, because government's control hinders the ability of RBI to regulate the sectors. It should be done because private banks have emerged as a credible alternative to PSBs with substantial market share. The PJ Nayak committee set up by RBI in 2014 to review the governance of the bank of boards in India also said that the government should lower its stake below 50% and step out of the board of banks. Let's move towards the pros and cons of privatization of banks. The first advantage is no pressure on government. So the additional burden of saving the banks from going into losses, which used to fall on the government, will not be there. With this, the government will be able to concentrate properly on other development work. Now, it also gives better facility. So we all know that better services are given to customers in private banks, while customers always complain that the employees of public sector banks do not treat them properly. After privatization, these problems will be solved. The next advantage should be profitable institutions. As we said earlier, the majority of private banks are more successful than PSBs. Many PSUs are stagnant and have more than twice the NPAs in comparison to private banks. Now, the last advantage will be more stringent towards loans and frauds. The privatization of the PSBs is also helpful in the reduction of responsibility of the government, because private banks are more stringent towards the loans and frauds. Now, let's discuss the disadvantages of privatization. So, if the bank can privatize, there would be fear of dissatisfaction and dismissal. As far as the PSU banks are concerned, the employees can openly register their protests and dissatisfaction. Whereas in the private hands of the institution, it will be almost impossible for them to do so, because doing so may end their job. The next disadvantage would be the limitation to only corporates. Former RBI chairman told in an interview with PTI that selling PSU banks to corporates would be colossal mistake. This will be limited to a few big corporate houses in the process of earning maximum profits. Fear of public would also be the disadvantages of privatization. If the PSBs will get privatized, then the public will be charged a high rate of interest. Also, it will be limited to only citizens, and other rural people will not be able to get better banking facilities like urban people. So the last disadvantage will be high prices economy. According to net explanations, the private sector banks do not show interest in cost reduction, which results in unfair practices in many businesses that mainly involve in corruption. So this is all about the today's topic. Hope our video helped you to understand more about the privatization of banks. Please like, comment and share, and don't forget to subscribe our channel Finbuzz Learning.